Most coaches overcomplicate content to the point of paralysis. You might be feeling this where you're not sure what to post. You don't know how to get clients to come to you from the content that you're creating. So in today's video, I'm going to simplify content so that from today, you can go out there, get posting, and actually acquire clients from the content that you put out. So before we can get into what types of content you actually need to be posting and how you should structure this, it's really important that you understand the reason why you're posting content, because most people just throw a reel out on Instagram and expect leads to flood into their inbox. And in reality, you put a reel out there, you get 10 likes, most of them are from your friends, some of them are from some creepy gay guy who's trying to slide into your DMs or something like that. I'm just speaking from experience. You start posting fitness content online and you think you're going to attract potential partners more easily, when in reality you just get loads of creeps in your inbox. You've been there. So rather than just aimlessly putting content out there, let's break down the purpose of why you would post content. So we're going to break it down into two different sections, and we're going to break those two different sections down into three different points. The first one being top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. Now, if you don't know what that means, your funnel is essentially the thing that people go into in order to become a client. Top of funnel content is designed to grow your audience. Middle of funnel content is designed to nurture, build know, like, and trust, which we'll get onto in a minute, with your audience. Bottom of funnel content is designed to turn those people into paying clients. Now, later on in the video, we're gonna get into when you should post each type of content, but it's really important that you can categorize the content that you're creating into these three sections to understand the effect that it's gonna have on your business. So the second section that we're going to break content off into is know, like, and trust content. Your content needs to be building these three things: know, like, and trust, because people will not buy unless those things are present. If people like you and they kind of know who you are, but they don't trust you, they're never going to pay you. If they trust you and they know you, but they don't like you, equally, they're never going to pay you. This is how it works. Now, these things aren't binary, and the same goes for top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. It's not that you have to autistically categorize every single piece of content into these sections, but it's really important that you understand that you're having these effects with your content. And if you have one without the other, that's why your content won't be performing how you need it to in order for your business to grow. So how do you actually go on to action the information that I've just given you within your content? Well, it comes down to what problems you're currently facing within your business. Most people don't actually analyze their business and look at it and say, well, we don't have enough audience members, so obviously we need to create top of funnel content. Or we do have enough audience members, but they're not converting into clients, therefore we need more middle of funnel and bottom of funnel content. Or we are getting people onto calls through our middle of funnel content, but they're not really that warm to us and they don't really trust us. So you can see how it's very much it's not binary. You don't need to think of this in a way of like, okay, super strict top of funnel, super strict, making people like me type of content. It doesn't work that way. You need to look at your business and you need to say, okay, what problem do I have? If you don't have enough audience members, obviously you're going to need top of funnel content. If you do have audience members, but they're just not very warm to you, then you need to make middle of funnel content, and you need to be building that know, like, and trust within that content. If you have got a really engaged audience, but you're just not quite getting people over the line, then you need to make people more aware of your offer and give them opportunities to enter your offer through your bottom of funnel content. Part of progressing your business is just simply identifying what the bottlenecks and problems are, and then actually implementing the solutions within your content, within your sales systems. You might also be wondering, well, how do I actually build that know, like, and trust with my audience without coming across as disingenuous or trying to get people to like me? As long as you are not completely unbearable, which I'm sure you're not. And another point is that there'll always be people out there that for whatever reason do find you completely unbearable. I know there's probably people that find me completely unbearable. It's just the way life goes. You're not going to get along with absolutely every single person that you meet, and if you do, then there's something weird and unnatural going on there. So don't try and force getting people to like you within your content. Getting people to know you, that's a little bit different, because there you have to actively share things about you and your life. For example, on this channel, and I'll link this video below so that you can go and see it, I have a whole video where it literally tells my entire story. Exactly how I went from, a broke, stoned, drunk idiot to the point where we make multiple 5 figures per month, and I'm able to hire my brother and work with my family, and I'm able to travel the world and do what I want with my life, okay? So having pieces of content there to get people to know you and exposing yourself really is a really good way to get people to know you. Now, there is a little bit of a caveat with getting people to know you in that you don't always need to overshare. I do see some creators putting things out there which might just be a little bit too much for your audience, and it might just put people off. So, it's not disingenuous, it's not inauthentic to not share certain things about your past or about your life that don't really need to be shared to your audience. So just bear that in mind when you're creating this know, like, and trust content. You don't need to go and just completely spiritually strip yourself, as my friend Sam calls it, to the internet. And when it comes to building trust, is a really easy answer to this. There's two main types of content that you can create. The My Story content will create some sort of trust, but people really trust you when they see you've got the results that you say you can get for them, for other people. So for example, on our Instagram page, we have like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of results, and we have video testimonials, and I have case study videos where I've sat down with clients of mine for like an hour. I'll link that video below as well so that you can see what it looks like. And we've sat and broke down exactly what we've done with that client in order to get them success. That builds a tremendous amount of trust with the people that are watching it. Another way to get people to trust you is to provide value and show off your expertise, flex your coaching muscle to your audience. Let them know that you know what you're doing. Tell them, give them the source. Don't feel like you need to hold things back. People will still work with you even if you give them so many of the answers. So that should have given you a lot of clarity. And if it hasn't, or you haven't really concentrated, or that information didn't really go in, I would recommend going back and just rewatching this video, because this is information that I've learned from working with mentors that are doing, millions per month. I've paid over £100,000 in mentorships. I've been doing this for the past sort of 8 years of my life, building up businesses like this. So it's coming from a place of this is what works, or at least it's what's worked for me and hundreds of other people and thousands of other people in the other mentorships and masterminds that I've been in myself. So yeah, if you feel like you want to go back and just reconsume, then do it. So at the same time as that providing some clarity, it probably also puts a little bit of work on your plate. And I want to clear up a few ways in which you can reduce the workload and make this whole content thing way less overwhelming so that you can actually implement. So the two things that we're going to cover, number one is going to be problem identification, which we spoke about briefly before. But number two is going to be content ecosystems, which we're going to talk about right at the end of the video. And it's something that in 2026, you're going to see a lot of online coaches doing. So if you really want to simplify which content you need to go and create, you need to pick which problems that you have within your business. Now, it can really only come down to like 2 or 3 problems that you can have. And those problems are not having enough audience, not having enough calls on the calendar, and not having enough clients. It's as simple as that. Identify which one you have. If you have the first, in that you don't have enough audience members, which type of content do you need to go and create? Type it in the comments, or say it out loud. Say it in your head. Right? It's top of funnel content. If you are struggling to get calls onto your calendar and people aren't really that warm to you, then you need to have middle of funnel content with a little bit more know, like, and trust elements to it. If you are struggling to get sales once you're actually on the call with people, then you need more bottom of funnel content, conditioning people to your offer before they're jumping on the call so that they're way more warm to actually go and get ahead with your service. And lastly, we're going to cover content ecosystems. Now, you're probably wondering, what the hell is a content ecosystem and how does it make my life easier? Well, for the longest time, there's been this strategy of posting daily content, sending out DMs, booking sales calls, but there are so many problems with this sort of traditional funnel. And if you've been in mentorships in the past, you've probably been a victim. I say a victim. You probably experienced the negative effects of this sort of strategy. And don't get me wrong, a lot of it is still very valid and a lot of it still absolutely works, but it's not really a sustainable way to grow your business in the long run, right? There's no light at the end of the tunnel with sending DMs every single day to strangers, dragging them onto a sales call. One of the main reasons for that is because when you get people onto that sales call and they come to that buying decision, because you haven't sent them through a content ecosystem and they haven't been able to warm up to you, the close rate is really low. And like the industry standard is 30%, meaning that if you get 10 people on a sales call, only 3 of those people are going to become clients, which means you've wasted, a sales call takes an hour. That means you've wasted 7 hours. That's a whole day. Imagine if you had an extra day. And this is like, it's a backwards way of growing a business. I know that it's so drilled into our industry that that's the way things are done. And don't get me wrong, in previous videos and in the past, I've drilled that way into my audience and my clients, and it's been what we've done within our business. But as we've developed over the past few years, creating these content ecosystems have not only allowed us to increase our close rate, but it's actually led to people just DMing us and asking for the price and just paying thousands of pounds, by the way. People paying thousands of pounds from the DMs, not even needing to jump on a sales call with myself. And that's the power of having an ecosystem which sustains itself rather than constantly being on the hunt. Posting daily content and sending DMs to strangers is the equivalent of like a caveman going out and hunting. It is time to evolve. It is time to evolve from being a caveman. It's time to go up to the Bronze Age or whatever came after caveman. And basically, we now need to start to create farms, self-sustaining systems that don't always rely on you to be there, because guess what? You're not going to be young forever. You're not going to be the age that you are now for the rest of your life. You're going to get older. You're not going to want to constantly be doing content. You're going to have children. You're going to, you're going to have families. You're going to be traveling the world. It's unreasonable to think that you would just need to post daily reels every single day and that just be like the hamster wheel that you're stuck on. So content ecosystems essentially is creating longer form content with strategically placed call to actions to bounce leads in between your social media platforms. Essentially that's what a content ecosystem is. Now we're going to be talking way more about that on this channel, but we've started to set it up with some of our clients. For example, Andrew, he was able to get to 15K per month and he's now pushing to 20. He's got a 77% close rate, which is just ridiculous, right? It's not industry standard. We're not doing industry standard with what we're doing with the content ecosystems anymore. It just makes no sense whatsoever at the levels that you're at when you're going from 0 to 5K, 5 to 10K per month. So look, if you want me to come into your business and help you set up content ecosystems so that you can get to the point where you've got a high close rate, you're not constantly having to DM people every single day, then DM me the word YouTube on Instagram at Tom Hutch Move. I'll leave the link in the top of the description below. And yeah, subscribe to the channel if you found that useful. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video.